Dan Wetzel, Yahoo Sports, national columnist, usually writing great things about what's going on with the NCAA, and he joins us now to give us the Cliff Notes version. Dan, good morning. Thanks for joining us. What do we need to know about this, and why does it bother you so much?
Well, I don't think this. I think it's a product of a slow news time of year. I don't know that it's quite. We need Armageddon here or anything like that.
Okay.
Basically, the NCAA is saying they have players that want to test the draft waters after their college season. They are now allowed to, make an agreement with a representative, an agent or somebody who can then say, call teams, where do you think my guy's going to be drafted, right? So if the teams come back, say, late second round or not at all, hey, maybe you stay in school. They sit there saying, hey, you're top 5, go, right? Pretty basic. What the NCAA is saying is, in order if you're going to hire one of those guys, this agent has to have passed their certification test. And the certifications include a bachelor's degree. You've already been an agent with the NBPA for 3 years, certified there. You have to come to Indianapolis and take some kind of test from the NCAA about, rules and things like that. They're basically, just regulating this on the back end. And so it got attention because Rich Paul, LeBron James' agent, and Anthony Davis's agent, Draymond Green's agent, does not have a bachelor's degree. And so LeBron and others think, well, hey, this is about snuffing out Rich Paul and stopping him from being able to do this. And there's certainly, I think, a pretty good argument of, like, why do you need a bachelor's degree to do this? There's no classes in how do you figure out where a guy's getting drafted. I don't know any majors in that in university. Maybe someone should do it. So that's kind of why it flared up. I think it's a stupid kind of rule. It's arbitrary. Who cares if the guy has a bachelor's degree? It's one thing for a league or a union to regulate the agents, particularly a union, to regulate the agents that are representing. But the colleges are trying to keep these guys they shouldn't have any say in what a kid wants to do if he's thinking of leaving. So it's almost like it's just extra regulation in an effort to keep players in school.
Do you think this is, a rule that is targeting Rich Paul?
I actually don't. I get why that's a thought, but Rich Paul is a major player, and he's a major agent. And what we're dealing with here are agents that would be trying to sign borderline second-round draft picks, like guys on the second round or back. Zion Williamson did not need an agent to tell him, hey, where do you think I might get drafted? Okay? He knows. So Rich Paul is not out there trying to sign guys that, played 4 years at Purdue, or 3 years at Purdue, and are trying to decide whether they're going their fourth year or not.
True.
So I don't think it has anything to do with Rich Paul. I think it has more to do with Christian Dawkins, who was in the the college basketball scandal trials, and guys like that are coming up, the next Rich Paul. But it's mainly just the NCAA just overstepping this thing. Like, look, if you say your players are amateurs, they're just students, they're not workers, they're not employees. You fought in federal court for that designation because you don't want all that comes with it. Well, if you're an amateur at something, you should have more freedom, not less. Okay, if you're just an amateur golfer, you shouldn't have to obey by the rules of the PGA Tour or something, because who cares, right? You don't have to get drug tested or I don't know, whatever the heck all the rules are. You should have more freedom. And so for them to put regulations on the back end of this, in addition to what the NBPA already does, to me, strikes as heavy-handed. It's also just unnecessary and it seems like rules for the sake of rules. But I don't really think it's about Rich Paul. No offense to LeBron. And I think it's a little heated. I think the NCAA needs to redo how they kind of handle all of this stuff.
Yeah, we're talking to Dan Wetzel, Yahoo Sports national columnist. Yeah, I started to look at this and I go, why is the NCAA involved in somebody's financial future here after they leave? Or you want to make sure they stay. If we get through with the one and done rule, then, how important is this rule going to be, Dan?
Well, it could be big because it's the same thing, because coming out of high school, you would want to hire someone and say, where am I getting drafted? Should I go to Duke? or should I go right to the league? And obviously, if you're saying, hey, you're going to get picked, 8th in the draft, you know what? I think I'm going to go to the league. Or, this guy has the connection to say, hey, San Antonio is going to take you at this spot. So the decision's the exact same. It's just whether you even show up. Here's my thing with this whole bit, and it's why I find it infuriating or certainly, illogical, is in hockey, okay? The other winter sport with a major professional league where people make millions of dollars. Everybody is eligible for the NHL draft. You don't have to declare for the draft. It's a slight distinction, but you get drafted in hockey. You get drafted, and then you can decide whether or not you want to go to college. You don't lose your eligibility by staying in the NHL draft or even getting drafted. The player of the year last year, Cale Maker, who plays for the Colorado Avalanche now, he was drafted 4th overall in 2017. Then he decided, I think college would be best for me, and he went to UMass for 2 years and then joined the Avalanche. So a hockey player can get drafted and retain eligibility, but a basketball player can lose their eligibility just by hiring an agent to consider whether to go in the draft. Okay, that isn't certified by NCAA. These are student, under their parlance, these are student athletes at the same athletic department. Like, you walk in the same halls, go to the same trainer, same building. Everything's the same school, same rule book. Yet the hockey player gets one rule, which I think is a good one, because then you could sit there and say, no, I don't like getting drafted here, or I thought I was going to get drafted and I didn't. Why should I have to not go back to college? Like, who does that help? To sit there and say, sorry, kid, you didn't get in. You thought you were getting picked and you got picked late. Or go, God, man, they picked me, but they got too many power forwards. I don't want to play there. I'll wait and I'll try to get better, and then I'll play for them later. So that's my problem, is we have one rule for hockey players and one completely more strict rule for basketball players. One of those sports makes somebody a lot of money.
That's true. That's what it comes down to. That's why I said they're trying to protect a multi-billion-dollar business called March Madness. That's all they care about. If hockey made money, if the Frozen Four made money, then maybe they'd get involved in this. If the College World Series made money, then maybe they'd be more involved in that. That's what it comes down to. That's why, the NFL loves having these college football players, or the colleges love having these football players for at least 3 years. It's great. You get these. I know they're not ready to go to the NFL, but this is a multi-billion-dollar business where you get to keep stars around for a little while longer.
If they did a real comprehensive reform that was best for the players and their families, but also I think the best for keeping kids in college, let them get drafted. Let's say you get picked by San Antonio. Okay, you're the 25th pick of the draft, and you go, I just don't know that I'm ready. I want to go back to college. And Greg Popovich says, that's fine. Go play for Duke this year. And you know what? The NCAA is going to allow you to come play in our summer league in Vegas. It's like an internship. We pay you or something like that. But then, go to college. Get a year or two, maybe 3. Maybe you never pan out, and this is a bad pick, but you stay all 4 years and get your degree. How is it a bad thing to try to keep kids in college? Like, the hockey system works great. There's literally no one in hockey. And I know we don't pay attention to it, but, the coach, they're all in there. Nobody's complaining about the hockey system. They like it. It's good for everybody. It's good for these schools to have the kid there. Ryan Donato played 3 years at Harvard, then went to the Olympics, and then joined the Boston Bruins right after Harvard was eliminated from the playoffs a couple of years ago. Now he's with Minnesota. Like, these are all good things.
Yeah.
And yet we can't do it for basketball. Well, geez, why? What possibly is different? A lot of these guys play in the exact same building.
I still love that.
And basketball arena.
I love the point that you make, that if they're supposed to be student athletes, amateurs, why is there less freedoms for them? And there's supposed to be all this freedom for them. There is very little freedom for them.
Right. We're adding extra layer of regulation. Again, for a union to say, we're going to protect our members and say, these are the standards in which you can be an agent for us. That makes perfect sense. There's no good way. Look, a bachelor's degree does not mean the guy isn't going to swindle you. We know that. There's nothing about that. But I get it. That's why a union would do that. That's fine. That would be their union. It's not,
Yeah.
I'm leaving this other place. It's like your last employer putting a non-compete clause on you, but you're not an employer. You're just a student. So, and again, this isn't even accepting money. This isn't like, I'm going to pay you to go to this school. This is literally, you can't hire that person to be your consultant on this. And that's the part that just doesn't make any sense. So just wildly inconsistent. And I just don't think it's going to help. College basketball, if the one and done is gone, is going to need every good player it can get, because Zion Williamson isn't playing here anymore. So you need all those guys to stay as long as possible. Or maybe there is one, right? I don't think college hockey hurts because some top 10 draft picks say, yeah, you know what, I want to go to college a couple of years, get bigger and better, and get some education. That's a positive for that sport. And college basketball is going to be sitting there going, boy, we could use a couple of those guys. Why are we doing everything we can to ban them? If someone wants to play college basketball, we should do everything we can to get them to play college basketball.
Thanks for filling up some time here. Thanks for the content, Dan.
Yeah. He'll get more interesting soon, I know.
Thank you, Dan. It's Dan Wetzel, Yahoo Sports national columnist.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.